when you finally do eventually step into the UFC cage, because it seems inevitable even though you haven't officially signed, what are some of those goals you have going forward in your career? Do you think that the UFC will grant you a title unification bout against George St-Pierre in one of your next two fights?
I don't know. My next goal is to sign with the UFC. As you say, hopefully, it will happen. And then from there, I'll set up new goals, and definitely the belt it will be one of those goals, and down the road I would love to fight for the belt, definitely.
Is there anyone in the UFC that you have your eye on that you would like to fight?
No, I'm not the type of person who calls out anybody, or it's anytime a Strikeforce asks me to fight somebody, I'll always say yes, as long as I have the time to get ready for the fight, and so whoever they want me to fight, I'll fight. I'm not picky.
Now, you mentioned getting back into the gym to help Dan Henderson train for Lyoto Machida. Obviously, you displayed your great striking, and I know you have a karate background. How much are you going to be a part of Dan Henderson training for, a guy with a karate style in Lyoto?
I don't really have the same karate style as Lyoto.
Right.
But I can't mimic the same kind of style as Lyoto. I can move the same. I'm not as big as Lyoto, of course, but
right.
I can move as Lyoto does, and try to mimic his style with his kick, his feint, his speed, his explosiveness, and I can try to do that to Dan. I've done it a little bit during my camp, and to help him out, and one of my coach, also Daniel Warren, used to train him. He used to train Machida back in the day, so he knows Machida pretty well, and we'll be able to put a good game plan for Dan.
And how do you see that fight playing out?
Of course, I see Dan winning.
Yeah.
If Dan is smart, and I believe Dan is really smart. He's smarter. From the first time I came to Team Quest until today, Dan got really smarter about his training and smarter about the way he approaches the fight. And I believe if he comes prepared and he stick to the game plan and he fights smart, he can definitely catch Machida.
Now, Tarec, back on to the subject of Strikeforce, are you kind of sad that the promotion is ending now that you've finally earned a title and you won't be able to defend it?
Yeah, it was a great night, but a sad night at the same time. It was really sad to see Strikeforce, closing doors after so many years. I mean, not so many years, but the past almost 4 years, fighting for them. It's sad. It's sad because it was a great organization, a lot of great people working in it, and a lot of great competitors, a lot of great fighters. And so it was bittersweet, to win the belt, not being able to defend it, and see Strikeforce, closing door. But hopefully, will open, other doors.
Now, one guy who is a former Strikeforce champion is Nick Diaz. He's going up against George St-Pierre here in Montreal in March. And, a lot of people question whether or not Nick Diaz should be getting that shot at GSP. Do you have any thoughts on Nick Diaz and his fighting George St-Pierre?
I think, honestly, as a fan, I want to see that fight. I want to see, even though, Carlos won against him and then he got a title and Nick Diaz hasn't fought for a long time, I think it's a fight that the fans want to see. As far as ranking, I don't think it's really fair to other fighters. But, as a fan, it's also a fight that that a lot of people want to see. But there's 2 points, how do you say that? 2 ways, there's the fan and there's the ranking, and sometimes it's like Chael and John Jones. If you ask me for Chael and John Jones, I don't believe Chael deserves the title shot. Nick Diaz doesn't really deserve the title shot as well, but I guess it's a fight that the fans want to see it.
Did I just hear a Team Quest guy say that Chael Sonnen doesn't deserve the title shot?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Chael, and he trained at Team Quest, not the same Team Quest as us.
Right.
But honestly, for me, he never fought at 205, and he didn't really deserve the shot at John Jones for the light heavyweight belt.
And I agree with you. I think Dan Henderson should be. Yeah. I think he's next in line. I really think that Dan should be getting a shot. It shouldn't be Chael. It doesn't really make any sense, but it is what it is. Is there a rivalry developing now between Team Quest California and Team Quest Portland and Oregon?
No, I don't think so. I have a good relationship with Matt. I just saw him at the Strikeforce event. He's a good guy, and also I saw Pat Healy who fought. I have a good. I trained with him in Hawaii with BJ Penn. He's a great guy, great fighter, and I don't think there's any feud between since Chael took the fight. Replaced Dan, I would say, and there's any. All the Team Quest, we all get along pretty well,
But that being said, I did hear Dan say that he'd be willing to fight Chael.
Yeah, I heard that too. I've never talked to Dan about it. Maybe he would. I don't know. You gotta ask him. I don't know. I saw that on the.
Who would you pick to win the fight?
I think.
You got to go with Dan, right?
Yeah, of course. But you want to start something? You putting me against Chael or what? No. But yeah, I would go with Dan, of course. But I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Chael will probably have a hard time with John Jones, and we'll see what happens with Chael. Tarec Saffiedine, Strikeforce welterweight champion. I expect huge things from you in 2013. You're going to do big things in the UFC welterweight division. Once again, congratulations on the victory on Saturday night. It was a hell of a fight, and we thank you very, very much for joining us.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for the time.